Hi guys, I'm Amanda from Detroit. I'm a part of Funktasy's marketing team, and here we have the rest of the peers. I have Cameron with us today. Cameron, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Cameron. I'm based in LA and I am part of the Funktasy marketing team here.
All right, awesome. Then we have August with us.
Hi everyone, I'm August. I'm also part of the marketing team here, and I'm based in New Jersey.
Alex, go ahead.
How's it going? My name is Alex Collins Jr. and I'm based in Florida and I'm part of the marketing slash creative brand team here at Funktasy.
Awesome. Beza, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Beza. I am also a member of this marketing team, and I'm a student based in Boston.
Sophia.
Hello, my name is Sophia. I'm also part of the market team and I'm based in New York City.
Sasha.
Hi everyone, I'm Sasha. I'm based in Toronto and I'm the brand marketing manager here at Funktasy.
Perfect. So we're kind of all over the world. And so essentially what we are is a record label and magazine. It's all about music, culture, and literally everything creative you can think of. So Funktasy we've been playing around with AI and not in a weird way, but kind of in a okay, this is kind of low key, kind of cool, kind of way. And just its impact on where it's going with the just world and the entertainment industry as a whole. Um, what do you guys think its effect is, kind of going forward into the future?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting to see how it's going to develop throughout the years. Obviously, in the recent years and even months, it's been really popping up a lot lately. I think it could be used greatly as a tool, if it's better in production or if it's adding certain drum loops or vocals in certain areas that you didn't think of before. So I think it's good for direction, but in its entirety, I think it could take a step back. But and again, in terms of using it as a tool or as in direction, it'll be a great feature for artists to use now and maybe later throughout the years.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. I think AI is great in terms of being a tool that can assist artists or industry creative, like social media professionals, marketing professionals in their work. But in terms of AI completely replacing set creatives, artists, I think that can be a very negative point of view and it can be scary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's that a lot of AI, like algorithms have been around for a really long time, whether people realize it or not. But with the higher integration of AI into industries like entertainment and music, it's important to make sure that that human touch is still there and not a full reliance on AI as we're moving forward in this new era.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people are concerned about AI replacing humans essentially and taking our jobs. And AI is kind of everywhere right now with the music we listen to the visuals we see, even the way artists interact with their fans. It's AI generated. And depending on who you ask, it could either be the coolest thing ever or the beginning of a creative apocalypse. I know we had touched bases earlier about Spotify Premium and how they have like an AI radio DJ now, and it's cool, but like I said, it's kind of creepy in a way, you know? It blows my mind how humanized it can be. Um, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but to me, I kind of fall for it being a real person. Sometimes I get really freaked out.
Building off of what you were saying, Amanda, I've personally used the Spotify AI DJ. His name is DJ X. Um,
hmm
and I've found that a lot of what he gives me is very like repeated. Like if I'm listening to a song and I listen to it a couple of times, he will constantly recommend that song over and over again. And it kind of turns into this feedback loop where you're just listening to the same music over and over again based off of this algorithm. So personally, I found it not useful to me for discovering new music. And I don't know if anyone else can relate to that experience as well.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of pros and cons when it comes to there's definitely the pros of it being easily inaccessible and that DJ aspect of just getting in your car and it being taken care of instead of having to pull up a playlist. But then also, like you said, I've personally experienced where the music is repetitive and it doesn't pull music from, older songs that, are in your playlist. Um, and I think it does become repetitive. It becomes less personalized, um, and
Yeah,
less
I haven't.
relatable.
I can
Sorry, I
actually
didn't mean to interrupt. But I personally haven't used the DJ feature you guys are talking about, but I have used like there's a certain section on Spotify that allows for you to discover new music, and I'm guessing that they have some type of algorithm, some type of AI that promotes these new songs to you. And when I've used it, I've actually added a couple to my playlist, so that's like a pro view to it.
I can actually add in some information about how these algorithms kind of work. The way that algorithms typically work is they take input from various parts, like say the music you listen to, your search history, what people who are your age or what they think your age is are listening to, and they put that into their algorithm and then spit out the music that they think you'd want to listen to. So that kind of is why we end up seeing a lot of the same music, is because that creates what's known as a filter bubble. So when you're listening to something, the algorithm tends to, like, this is kind of a flaw with algorithms sometimes. They tend to think that past trends will predict future trends. So when you listen to one song, they're like, oh, you're going to continue listening to songs like this, and they'll keep recommending either that song or songs similar, and it can prevent you from reaching out to new things, and it kind of just keeps you trapped in that one spot. And that's something that, it makes me wonder, like, how is this going to impact like future trends, because that just kind of means unless there's like really specific people inputting very specific things into those algorithms, what are future trends going to look like if not just the same thing that's already happened?
Yeah, I have a bit to add about like the way that consumers have reacted to these AI things. Like for example, we all know Spotify Wrapped came out recently, and I remember last year when Spotify Wrapped came out, there was a lot of backlash about like how easy people felt it was to tell that AI had been used with certain words and just like things not making sense and not feeling very human to people. So this year with Spotify Wrapped, even though it was obvious they still used AI and they had stated so, they definitely tried to reel back on this like inhumane feel to it. And so it just shows that even though AI is still being used, there is still some backlash. And even though it will probably continue to still be used, there are definitely ways that people will try to get around the feel of it and like the way it's coming across.
Yeah, I agree. And also to add to that, you guys obviously probably all heard about day that were introduced, I think, about a year ago or 2 years ago on Spotify, which is also an AI generated tool, which kind of like generates a day list for you based on your listening patterns and everything, which I also find can be quite repetitive. I personally feel like it just pulls like half of my existing playlists in there and then just adds a few like random songs that thinks I might listen to. But the most of the backlash was over the name of those day lists, which seemed to be just like Spotify pulling up some trending keywords. Like and the day list names were very much insane, I would say, like pop pilates princess or something, and people were just confused, what does it even mean? That's the name of my day list. And I think to this day they haven't really changed that. Like, I mean, I can try to pull up my day list right now. Let's see. Oh, indie pop microcore Monday afternoon. Like, what does that mean? So it's interesting to think about that. And I wonder if you guys like had any crazy day list titles in the past that you can remember. Also, I get a lot of like whining Saturday playlist or something.
Yeah, I've seen some crazy stuff on my day list as well. Things like sad girl crying heartbreak Sunday night or something like that. But then it'll completely turn the next day and it'll be like emo teenager something. um, Monday morning, and it just completely flips depending on the time of day. But I think those playlists, for me personally, are very interesting because I listen to a wide variety of genres. So it'll like poke back at what I was listening to maybe like a month ago, and bring me back to that genre in a way that I wouldn't have personally.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I also do like about those playlists, once you finish like listening to it, it will just kind of start this Spotify radio, which is also AI based. And it often like propose songs to me that I've never heard of before, I've never listened to, but I do like and end up adding to my playlist, which I think is like a great way for especially up and coming artists like to tap into that and gain new listeners. But then the question is for especially us marketing specialists, marketing musicians, how do we tap into the algorithm and make sure that the music you post on streaming services gets delivered to the target audience, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. I was gonna say that, not everybody has a huge team behind them with all these resources they could use to push or promote content behind it. So even so AI is almost giving an opportunity to these younger, smaller, or break even like newer artists coming in to even out the playing field a bit, where these huge companies have a guy for sound, a guy for imagery, a guy for the album cover, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's a good opportunity for the people that want to break into the industry and also for them to get their foot in the door, you know?
I agree. It's absolutely becoming more of a stepping stone, and it can be hard for people to see that because with AI, the kind of thought is that it's doing all the work, which isn't necessarily true. There's a lot of input that you have to do as the artist, as the human in the situation to make the AI generate what needs to be generated. But there is still absolutely cause for concern when using this sort of thing because you don't want to, as an artist, you wouldn't want to give up the full creative expression that you have when creating music, especially using AI. Because with AI, there's issues with, especially in generating things with AI, there's the issue of marketing complacency, which is knowing that there is an algorithm and knowing that there are trends that you should follow to make it popular and not sacrificing, popularity for your originality.
I think that's a really good point. How do you guys think that that would like affect us going forward?
Well, I think it can really affect the musicians that spend like years and years, developing, mastering their skills, playing several instruments, just investing so much money into learning different skills, learning how to, record, master, sing their vocals, and then somebody else just puts a prompt into their phone and suddenly generates this whole like AI artist, AI persona, and then also makes a deal worth like millions of dollars. Of course, if I was an artist like that, it would feel like really unfair to me. Like, where do you draw the line? Obviously, the person behind the AI creation is also doing something, but there's a difference between, again, spending years and on like honing your art and like investing money in education and stuff versus just putting a prompt inside your phone.
Building off of
Yeah.
that, oh, sorry. Building off of that, there's also the ethical concern of how these AI bots are being trained. They're being trained on all of this data of existing music that all of these artists have spent all of this time crafting their, original work. And these artists aren't necessarily consenting to their work being used to train these AI bots that are now creating this new music. So that brings up a big ethical concern for AI music in general.
Yeah, for sure. And I wanted to actually touch on what Sasha said about there being a bit of a fine line, especially with like, again, about the way consumers kind of like interact with music. At what point does it get to where people don't want to listen to something just because of the way it was made? A lot of people online you see nowadays are very against this idea of AI. And like, there definitely is a fine line in terms of how much AI involvement they'd be willing to like provide money to and support. So that's definitely something that like people need to be attentive of going forward and also just something that people need to, spend time focusing on.
Yeah, and I mean, especially I think adding to Amanda's point earlier, like there are a number of artists, like also I heard about Zanaya Monet that was topping American Billboard radio airplay charts. and they made a deal. Well, that's a completely AI generated person, but the person behind the AI artist just had a $3 million deal with Hollywood media. So to think about $3 million is a lot, whereas like there's thousands and thousands, millions of up and coming emerging artists who would just like kill for, $100,000 deal. So it can be a little bit tricky. I mean, yes, it still takes work to put in those prompts to, like running social media accounts. And I think it could be a great like tool to utilize in terms of if you're an up and coming artist and you want to help yourself run those social media accounts, maybe like help yourself like save some money to uh tune your art, tune your songs, like master them, etc. But as opposed to like somebody who's not even really had education in music and just made a $3 million deal, can be really freaky to hear about it, I think. And it raised another ethical question.
Sasha, I did want to ask, what would be your viewpoint on how it affects like the radio industry?
Yeah, I mean, that's
Because
another controversial topic because a lot of radio stations are still using AI generated content, AI like characters, artists, like that's artists and AI. Like a lot of like huge radio stations across the state still play her music and it's topping the charts. People are listening to it and they might not even be aware that she's AI generated. But recently I found it interesting, iHeartRadio actually just banned all AI generated content. I generate artists from all of their radio stations across the globe and in Canada as well. They're basically taking a stance. They have a whole like initiative which is about like human music, human artists. And I think it is important. I feel like it's a still like controversial topic, but it's good that somebody's taking a stance because Airplay still does pay a lot. So
Mhm,
who is it paying to? Is it like somebody who's real or just an AI character?
mhm. Do you think it's ethical to use AI to sound kind of l- resemblance to Kalani, SZA, or Drake, or more of like those really well-known artists? Do you think that's really ethical? Because most artists say no because it's their art and it's personal, right? It's their voice, it's their career, and and it feels like exploited.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of like stealing somebody else's work. It's stealing their identity because initially all those artists, they came up with their own like art. They came up with their own identity, their content, their persona. And this
Hmm.
is basically the way AI works, how it like learns things. It's just learning information from existing artists who came up with it on their own. I mean, like it could be good in terms of, let's say you're an artist who's experiencing writer's block. You go to a ChatGPT or something or one of those like music generating softwares. You just like try to find inspiration. That could be good if it's just you're using it, you listen to it, you use it as inspiration and then come up with something of your own. I think that's great. But in terms of just straightforward like outward stealing it, I don't think it's ethically correct.
I have a great example for that conversation actually. I think some of you guys know Playboy Cardi, for example. Great artist, but he's known for delaying, postponing albums, et cetera, et cetera. It takes forever. Not just him, Playboy Cardi, but Frank Ocean. Um, it's been, months, even years before they drop another album or drop another mixtape release, whatever. So with these impersonation artists, like it's kind of giving the people what they want, and at the same time, it's also pushing these artists to, well, if I don't drop, these impersonators are gonna drop. And for the Playboy Cardi example, I know there's a impersonation of him on Spotify that has great numbers that compare to Playboy Cardi and even big name artists when it's just AI talk and it's a good quality sound. It's similar style and it's giving the people what they want. So at the same time, it is kind of stealing off of their voice, off of their name and likeness, but it also is giving more opportunity and more music to enter the scene. If they're not going to give it to us, well, the public's going to look for it somewhere else, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, let's see here. Will AI kill creativity or will it expand it? Honestly, I feel like it really depends on how it's used.
I agree. And then kind of going back to what I said earlier about marketing complacency, there's a concern about whether or not artists and creators are going to be just making things for the algorithm to push out and gain popularity and really meet the numbers that they need to meet in order to succeed, or are they going to trust their creative expression and see how that can take them. There's obviously like there is a way to try and do both, but figuring out where the algorithm is taking the public and trying to make your work balance that while not sacrificing that original expression is a delicate act. And it's one that's struggling for a lot of people, as we've talked about earlier with the AI artist who signed a deal. How much of that really was creative expression? How much can you say of your input into what the AI generated is something that you can own? That's something that really we're really walking like kind of a delicate line with that right now. And currently with where we are in AI, I think we're finding those limits right now. And I think we're about to see some of the pushbacks, not only in just like as like algorithms kind of like maybe crash, but also maybe in like laws coming up, especially copyright law.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I also think the big thing that will play into it is what we as a society like decide to value. I feel like at the end of the day, there will always be people out there that love music and that will want to go and create music and any other forms of entertainment. And we just, as, consumers have to decide what we want to pay attention to. And if we want to, value something that's easy and something that's like there for us in abundance over what we consider to be more creative and more of a, I guess, true version of the art form, we'll just, I guess, decide what prevails in the end.
Sophia, do you have any input at all?
Um, as you were, I think uh, I want to like format this and make sure I'm making myself clear. I know we mentioned before like artists like Frank Ocean and Playboy Cardi. I think Alex mentioned that, and like how those artists aren't releasing music. And well, I think that's like okay, and I don't think we should like use AI to mimic their voices, because I feel like their voices is just engraved into like their art, and you shouldn't like take that away from them. I know like Bad Bunny got upset because like his voice was used in the AI video, and I think he's like kind of like there's a point to that. Like it your voice is who you are, and it shouldn't be used without like your permission and stuff.
That's awesome. Thank you for your input. All right, you guys. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. I think we could all collectively agree that AI is wild, unpredictable, and quite terrifying, but also kind of genius. And it's literally rewriting the music industry in real time, whether you love it or you hate it. Here's to say, and the smartest thing you could do is figure out how to work with it, not against it, or else you'll just be left behind. Um, huge thank out, huge shout out to Funktasy record label and magazine, the whole creative universe for letting us play in the space and explore what the future music could look like potentially. If you're into discovering new artists, culture, fashion, tech, and literally everything under that umbrella, shaping the next area of music, you already know where to go. Make sure to check us out, Funktasy record label and magazine. Follow us on all socials and keep up with everything that we're building. This is Amanda signing off. Stay creative, stay curious, stay Funktasy.